Today's October 15th. I've snuck up here to this persimmon tree hoping to get in on a deer, and there's not a single persimmon left on it. All this time was a waste. It is what it is. I'm going to reposition myself and try to set up on a transition area. Since I'm in this location, I know where 1 acre tree is. I might go check it out real quick. If it's hot, I'll sit there. If not, I'm going to sit on a transition area between this bedding and a small food plot. That looks pretty good. So, wish me luck. Well, I finally got up in my tree. I looked at the acorn tree. There were no acorns on it. So I come over here to a spot that I felt like might be a buck bed area. And I found one bed that's about 15 yards behind me. And I've got a persimmon tree right there in front of me. Just right at 18, 20 yards. It's real thick. He's going to have to come out on this side for me to get a shot. And I've got this opening here that makes a transition area in all this thick mess. These deer are zigzagging right and back and forth through here, eating on this browse. I can see some deer droppings, old and new. It's about as good as it's going to get for October 15th. There's a trail coming straight out of the corner of that bed area right there, straight to this persimmon tree on this side of the opening. Maybe I'll get a shot if one comes through there. I got a small post oak acorn tree right behind me. It is definitely out of place. I don't know what it's doing here, but it ain't got any acorns on it that I can see. We're going to sit right here. As long as I can sit here, then I'm going to get down and scout. Maybe I'll kill one. The wind's in my favor right here, so that's a good thing. Well, I've sat here till about noon. I'm pretty tired. All I've seen was a coyote come slipping through trying to get a bite of a persimmon, and I wasn't able to get a good shot on him. I don't know. Might be a better afternoon hunt. They may be more likely to come down on the opening side in the evenings. Give me a good shot. Good morning, everyone. It's a Monday morning and I've got to go to work tonight, so I'm going to do a really quick morning hunt in a pretty easy to get to spot. I'm in a transition area right here. You can see all that green vegetation right there. It's really thick. I've got these pines on this side that I'm in. They're real skinny, small diameter pines. Very difficult to get a tree stand in. I've got a lock on. I'm sitting in long wolf lock on. Over here to my right, I've got a clear cut. This may be 7, 8 years old. These deer come out of that clear cut and they transition around the edge of this stuff here, going over to a growed up power line. I gotta be careful with this broadhead pointed at my forehead on this bow mounted camera, but I'm gonna sit here till about 9:30, 10 o'clock, probably 10 o'clock, and I gotta get down and go get some sleep before I go to work tonight. Oh, there's a lot of good sign in here. I found this place, scouting it after deer season last year, following a really big set of tracks coming through here. Wish me luck. I got a little buck that's driving me crazy. He won't leave. I want to set up, and he keeps snorting and circling around me, looking at me. I'm halfway up the tree. He keeps coming back, looking at me, stomping his feet, snorting. I gotta get up this tree, run him off, or do something. I ain't gonna see no deer out here this morning. Him carrying on like that. Looks like about a 6 point. 5 or a 6 point. He just watching me. I was watching him with the binos while he was watching me about, I say 60 yards away. He is real curious as to what I am. It's opening weekend of bow season, or it's opening week of bow season. I got in here a little after daylight. I tried to sneak in on this spot. I bumped a little buck, probably a 5-6 point buck. He was real curious, trying to figure out what I was. He didn't want to leave the area. I've got a white oak acorn tree to my left. I've got another white oak acorn tree right behind me. Neither one of these trees are dropping yet. The squirrels ain't knocking acorns out. They're loaded with acorns, so it should get good pretty soon. I'm in a transition area where these bucks are coming out of this deep gorge, and they're transitioning to a bed area to my right. I've got some tremendous looking rubs that are fresh within bow range of me right now. I got one good rub behind me and two right in front of me. On the trail that I'm on, I didn't really want to get in this tree, but I wanted to be able to see, observe this whole area. But it looks like they're walking dead under my tree. So when I come back in here the next time, I'm going to relocate. I've got a tree just north of me that'll be a much better tree. It stays in the shade. It's got better cover. I'm not within bow range of one of the white oak trees. If I sit there, it doesn't matter. They're gonna come through here anyway. If I sit here long enough and I get the wind right, he's gonna walk right in front of me. He's got a good rub, rubbed real high on a tree. Got the limbs broke off. Big track, big droppings. I know it ain't that 5 point that I was looking at this morning. There's a much bigger buck in here than him. I'm excited. I think this spot's actually gonna get better in about another month when the rut kicks in, because it's in between all these bed areas that he's traveling through. And he's cutting a corner of this one bed area headed to another one. I really need a northeast wind to hunt this. I've got a northwest wind today, which will work because the wind's blowing my scent off behind me on a bluff, and they have to come up this bluff gap to get around me. So by the time they get up here, I'm downwind of them. The only problem is they're gonna scent check me. If it's a deer that I don't want to shoot, he's gonna get my ground scent because I've crossed the trail. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna set up just north of here, let my scent blow over the top of them. It's gonna be a much better setup. Wish me luck. It's 1 o'clock. I've been sitting here since daylight, and I think I'm fixing to get down, go get something to eat, maybe relocate this evening. Good morning. I'm gonna try to get in here a little bit earlier this morning and beat this buck to his bed. That's my game plan. I hope everything works out. I got the wind dead perfect this morning. If I could slip in there without blowing a bunch of deer out, which I expect to be bumping deer, hopefully they won't go stomping, snorting. I'm gonna sneak in there as quiet as I can, use my little green pen light, shine it just down at my feet, just enough where I can see where I'm walking without stepping on sticks. That's the game plan. Wish me luck. Well, I got in here pretty quiet. I only bumped into one doe. She kind of run out and stomped her feet a couple of times. Looked back, not sure if she knew what I was, so feeling pretty good about this morning. You can kind of hear in the background a lot of activity for the mines that I've hunt close to. Some days they can make a lot of noise. These does come slipping in here, and this particular doe here, the lead doe, caught my ground scent from the day before. Just to the left of her in this screen is where she's looking right now. There's a tree that I was sitting in. Now, this is a doe getting my ground scent from the day before. I don't know how in the world people think they can beat a deer's nose. I'm wearing rubber boots. I keep clean. I dry my boots in a dryer all the time. I put baking soda down in them. I wash them constantly with baking soda. I wash my clothes in non-scented soap. I do a lot of scent control, but I don't believe in full scent control. So I see this too often, where deer will catch your residual scent, ground scent. They know you were there. You disturbed the vegetation, anything out of place. These deer will sometimes pick it off. Not all the time. I have had deer just come by, walk across my scent trail, act like they don't even smell it. Not really sure why one deer picks up on it and is alerted and other deer don't. So if you see a deer, and you're going to see a deer in this video actually later, walk right across my scent trail, never checked up. But this doe right here is on full-blown alert. And there's like 5 other does behind her that will not move past this lead doe. That right there to the left is the actual tree that I sat in the morning before. One other thing you can pay attention to is because these deer are here and they're on full alert as well, they got the gray squirrels in the area barking and carrying on. Notice something else about this doe. Try to read her body language. When I got down out of my tree stand, I walked the direction that I'm sitting now to get out of there, and she's looking that direction, so she knew that I walked that direction leaving when I left yesterday morning. So not only did she pick up my ground scent, but she's also picking up the direction of my travel. She's studying it very, very intently. You want to try to pattern deer? You better be pretty fast at getting a pattern on them, because they can pattern you a lot quicker than you can pattern them. That's a truth.
One thing about deer like this, sometimes if you are patient enough, you can wait them out. They will eventually tire of trying to locate you, find you for that moment, and sometimes they'll relax and go on about their business. In this particular case, this doe is so wound up she's not going to relax, and she's eventually going to take all these other does with her, and they're going to circle all the way around that tree and then head into the bed area from there. One time I had a group of does that did that to me, and when they actually circled around the tree that I used to be in, they actually brushed up against the actual tree that I was sitting in that morning. So they don't know where I'm at. They just know that that ground scent is right there, and it's freaking them out. This whole video segment is a pretty long video segment, so I'm going to cut it off right here. It's over 20 something minutes long. I know you guys don't want to sit here and watch these deer stomp around and study my ground scent for 20 solid minutes, so we're going to cut on toward the end and get on with this video. At one point here, when all the does started walking back up this direction, I thought they might actually try to walk past that tree and continue on to their bed area. They're just getting about 20 something plus minutes, and they're all hightailing it out of there. You can see how they all just circle around that tree instead of going down the trail right next to it. Deer are crazy. 10 more yards is going to make a huge difference, right? It can be when you're bow hunting. Trust me, I know. About 30 minutes later, this doe come by all by herself, walked right down the trail, never checked up once. Go figure.
And I guess that kind of freaked them out. They kind of snorted at the tree and stomped their feet and sniffed around it and actually circled all the way around the tree and then went into the bedding area over here to my left. 30 minutes later, a single doe came by. Didn't pay no attention to the tree, just went right down that trail. So I've seen 7 does, and I had a bobcat come through earlier. I like this spot. Well, I was trying my best to slip up on this acorn tree. I could hear deer under it crunching acorns. I know it don't look like nothing but pines, but on the other side of this stuff it opens up, and I just run a whole herd of deer off. That's not a good thing. None of them snorted, and I'm not sure if any of them know what I am. So I'm gonna sit here and kind of wait them out, see what happens. I really hate days like this. I come in here this morning. I got a late start. I wanted to get here 30 minutes at least before daylight. And it was already breaking day when I walked in. The deer were already here. I tried to sneak up on them. That didn't work. I honestly don't know how in the world they saw me. But they either saw me, smelt me, or just sensed that I was there. And I heard them run off down this hill. It's been so quiet this morning. Not even the squirrels are moving. All you hear is crickets and the water running down there in the creek, which makes me want to go pee. I'm going to sit here a little while longer. It's probably around 10 o'clock. I think if the wind will ever pick up, that these deer will move out of this bed area right dead behind me. Maybe come down here on this flat, feed on acres. There's a giant buck living right here in this area. It's a little bit early, really and truly, to be slipping in here, but when I leave out of here today, I'm going to cut me a really good, clean access getting in here so I can sneak in here on these deer. Wind's picking up finally. Maybe the wind will pick up a little bit, these deer start moving. They sure ain't done nothing since daybreak. It's October 23rd for an afternoon hunt. I'm in a transition area, pines to clear cut. I can hear something on the hill moving around a little bit. A coyote, a big coyote came through earlier, and it may booger my trail up because it went right down across the trail. We'll see. Well, I was not expecting to see a buck, but I saw a pretty nice buck over there. I scouted this last year, and I did find a transition area, and I said to myself, any deer crossing this wide open woods would come from that brushy point, because it's the thickest point jumping out into this open woods, and there's just a little bit of a dip over there, and he walked the edge of that dip, and what he's doing is he's going up in that saddle. I thought he would come up on this point last year. I said any deer crossing would come up on this point, but he went over into that saddle, and he's going to hug the edge of that saddle, I assume. That's a good piece of intel right there. Okay. I'm next to a Mountain Dew can, which means this has got to be a good spot. I was sitting up on that tree line, yesterday, and I saw a good buck traveling this corridor right below me. So I'm set up on the corridor. Last year I sat right there on that point about 40 yards from here and didn't see anything. But I only sat there one time, and I'd done a lot of scouting that day, probably boogered the place up. What I've got here is, best I can tell, is a big, long, deep hollow that just leads from point A to point B, that these deer are transitioning from bed area to potential feed area. So I got set up in here, and as soon as I climbed the tree, some kind of crazy coyote, which howled at me yesterday, howled at me again, so maybe that's a good sign that he's howling and barking at me. I'm in his home, he said. He don't want me here. But I gotta get quiet, settle down. Maybe this buck come cruising through here today again, and I can get a shot on him, or at least see where he is, get a better look at him. Wish me luck. Well, it's closing time. The coyotes are starting to howl. Too dark to video. I've not seen anything. I don't know if the coyote howling and barking at me when I first got here messed up my hunt, or if the buck's just not in this location and he's somewhere else on the property. Guess I'll never know. Tim said he tried to sneak in up to his acorn flat that he's been hunting. Said it's raining acorns over there. Sneaking up on 2 deer and some turkeys. Said they were gobblers. Busted him. He didn't see them. I can hear that coyote running around over there breaking limbs. Tried getting them howling back and forth to each other on video, but every time I turned the camcorder on, they shut up. Good afternoon, though. Learning something each and every time I come out here about this place. Maybe next time.